Okay, so when I found out I had a problem, I was actually working. I had graduated for a year, and I just started feeling very tired. I would throw up sometimes, and it wasn't consistent. So I knew I had something wrong when getting out of bed was very hard. I didn't have energy to get out of bed.
When was this?
This was about 2 weeks before I found out I had kidney failure. So went to a doctor, looked around, and the doctor thought I had ulcers because of the throwing up, and you don't have appetite at all. So when I went and I was diagnosed, they took a blood test, and that's when a doctor called me, and the doctor told me that there's something very wrong with your electrolytes. Come out to find out the potassium and the phosphorus were very high, out of spec. So that's when they suspected my kidney. Well, I was rushed to the hospital that day. I had to get, it's called a catheter to do dialysis. But then the transplant, from when I found out, was about a year and a half. Yes, I got my transplant last year in November 2016. Yes, first of all, it's very expensive and you need to find that. But then also finding a donor is not easy. A donor who matches and is willing to donate is quite a challenge. So the fact that my sister actually, she told me she wanted to donate. And when we did the test and found out that we could, it was a happy day for me. I would do anything for her. At this point, if she needed anything, I would do it. Just because before we were friends, but then now that I have a part of her keeping me alive and keeping me healthy, it takes it to another level. It's sacrificial love. That's the best way to put it.
Wow, how much was it? Because at the same time you have to think about dialysis. He was on dialysis for a year and a half, and then talking about he was in the States.
Yes.
So I actually went to the States. We thought we were going to have the surgery there. Then we moved back home. Then we moved to India, where we actually had the surgery. So all of it cumulatively, maybe roughly 4 million, maybe?
Well, but the surgery itself was 1.7.
Yeah.
And then everything else, India we spent about 3 million.
3
with
million.
the living costs and transport, eating, everything was about 3 million. Well, she said that it was discovered in the States. So the States, getting a transplant is very expensive. So we decided to come here and go to India because India had the expertise and it was cheaper. So that's why we kind of moved around a bit. But then if I was here, I would have just gone to India straight.
Imagine, no, because we've always been very close ever since we were young. In fact, when my mom was pregnant with me, she used to pray that she was having twins. So when she found out that I wasn't a twin, that's when our age gap is about a year. So we're very, very tight. So it was a decision that I made almost immediately. I knew, because when you see your best friend in need, you have to step up. It was yani akuna. So in fact, even before surgery, I was the one who was like, when we were told the surgery date, I was the only one screaming in the hospital. I was excited. I was like, yes! And my brother is looking at me like, I'm not sure.
I was nervous. I was really nervous that day.
He was more nervous about the whole thing. And I think he was nervous because I'm well. So for a donor, you're taking a risk where you're putting your body in the hands of a doctor to remove an organ and to give it to somebody. So for him, it was more a danger. What if things don't go right for my sister?
Yes.
So yeah, I never had that moment.
The best way to put it is fatigue. You're extremely tired. And so when I opened my eyes post-transplant, I actually felt better. That the minute I opened my eyes, I could tell the difference. You feel better. You feel like you have more energy as you actually heal. And it's different. I don't know how to explain it, but you feel like you've been reborn. That's the best way to put it. You feel that now you can take on the world, and it's amazing.
Hey! I thought I was hit by a bus. Like,
You see, that's the thing.
Oh Lord! And you know, the doctors tell you, by the way, the donor feels even more pain. So you have a lot of pain on your shoulders, on your back, and just
Yeah.
everywhere. I
And-
kept asking for more painkillers, and
But she
they would
walks
not
to
give
come
me
see me.
enough.
You walked
Yes.
to come see me the next
Yeah,
day.
a few hours
She
after
walked to
surgery,
my-
I walked to
Where I
his
was.
room. Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it.
He couldn't believe I was standing.
Yeah, I didn't even stand till 2 days
He
after. I
refused to
refused. I refused.
He refused to greet me.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, go back to bed.
Yeah, so I was walking.
She
I
was.
wanted to be able to see him.
Well, first I'll say take each day as it comes. You know, the good thing right now is dialysis is paid for by NHIF for 2 sessions. So that in itself is hope. So hold on to that until you can find the funds or even the donor. Because sometimes we tend to project and try to think so much of the future that we don't realize that days are going now. So take each day as it comes, stay positive as much as you can, and you'll hit road bumps. You know, we had issues with my donor. Not everything was smooth. So the fact that you're gonna meet challenges, you need to anticipate those and take it. You keep on pushing, keep on trying, and it'll come.
Yeah, I think that donation one is good. You know, it's something that I think culturally we're very afraid of. A lot of people are asking me, are you going to be able to have children? How big is the scar? I mean, things that are so petty
Minor.
and minor
Yeah.
compared to saving somebody's
Right.
life. And so it would be encourage donation, especially those who are willing and able to do so. There are so many people who, like you've said, who are searching, and there are different groups who are looking for donors. And unfortunately, in our country, we don't have those systems put in place. Where, like, for instance, in America, if I want to donate and I don't have a donor, there's a portal where I can put my name up and say that I'm interested, and they match you to a recipient who might be from a completely different county or state from you.
Exactly,
And so those are the things that I'm hoping in the future Kenya will improve on, and definitely, you know, encourage people to step up, be courageous, and to donate. The systems, especially, they've improved. Our medical care has improved, so it's able to do the process swiftly without worrying about life. Wow, that's powerful, because there was one time that Joab was on dialysis and power went.
Yeah.
And we panicked, because you don't understand, when blood is out of his body and
Yeah.
power goes, the machine stops. And so we were praying there was a backup. So we were in a place that had a backup. But then you begin to think about people in places where they don't have that option, and it's scary. So the message to the government is healthcare is important when you have a sick nation, because he's young, he's not even 30. So a lot of times when we think of people who are ill, we think of the aging or the old or those who are in maternity care.
Yeah.
But you forget those who are in long-term illnesses, who need support continuously. So it's something to be taken seriously, just as important as having water or food to eat. Our healthcare is important, and so the government needs to put it as a priority to stop these strikes.
Well, to add on to what Nerima has said, actually, when power goes, the nurse actually has to crank the machine manually. And that's important. You know, if you have your blood sitting, it coagulates, it clots in the machine. So that just shows how important these people are, you know. And even in India, the doctors are the ones who do the surgery, but the nurses are the ones who, they nurture, they take care of you until you're able. They help you get well, you know. So to me, what I would say is these nurses, they're very important. And without them, I wouldn't even be able to be here, you know. And when I was in dialysis, there are dialysis nurses who, they're your best friend. The doctor comes and tells you what to take, but then the nurse is the one who, how are you feeling? Is it good? You know, so that conversation, that one-on-one, those are the nurses. They're the extension of the doctor. So they're as important as doctors. That's what I would say. You go first on that one.
A lot of things. I have my own organization which is now growing, and it has actually been good. You know, a lot of people were worried that I took about 6 months out of work, and people were concerned how you're going to pick your life back up again, and things are actually picking up for me. So for me, it would be looking at my company and growing it. It's called Siasa Place. So engaging young people on electoral processes and the constitution.
Well, for me, it would be improving the whole process of getting a transplant. I believe that Kenya, we have a vacuum, especially in regards to the new law that was passed on organ donation and getting a recipient. I think we need to fine-tune that process and get the whole infrastructure built. So I would like to improve that and start an organization that helps people with getting the transplants and realize that there's hope. You know, a lot of my friends and people who I didn't know thought that once you get kidney failure, it's the end of life. It's not. It's the beginning. You can actually get out of it. You can do stuff. And I'm here to show them that, yeah, you can. It's a beginning of a new life. That's what I would say. Thank you for having us.